Hello there, welcome to another special edition of African Football Archives, and today we are looking at 10 great African players that never won the African Cup of Nations. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Great players from the African continent have contributed immensely to the game of football, both locally and internationally. However, unfortunately, some of these great players never had the honor of lifting the coveted African Cup of Nations title despite their great exploits abroad. This edition of African Football Archives reviews great African footballers that never won the African Cup of Nations. Interestingly, many of them have made a mark for themselves and the continent at large by winning various trophies like the UEFA Champions League, the Europa League, league titles across different European top-flight leagues, and many more. Having said that, here are the 10 great African footballers that never won the African Cup of Nations, counting down from number 10 to number 1. One of Africa's most decorated players, Grobbelaar, was a key figure for Liverpool in the 1980s. Grobbelaar was part of one of Liverpool's finest teams during one of their most dominant eras, as the Zimbabwean stopper claimed 6 league titles and 3 domestic cups. The highlight, though, was the 1984 European Cup final, where his bendy legs and expert penalty saves almost single-handedly helped the Reds to win the European Cup. At international level, however, he made little tangible impact during a near 20-year career, despite being capped over 30 times by Zimbabwe. Kalusha Bwalya is a one-time African Player of the Year winner and was an elite player with PSV in Holland, arriving only after the club's European triumph in 1988. For over 2 decades, Kalusha fought, shed tears, sacrificed blood, and scored goals in the green and white colors of Zambia. Against great odds, he even led the Polo side to a second-place finish at the 1994 African Cup of Nations in Tunisia. But Africa's sweetest left-footer just couldn't drag his team over the line. The Polo finally conquered the continent in 2012, but it was only after the maestro had hung his playing boots. Asamoah Gyan is Africa's highest African goal scorer at the World Cup, but he has never won the African Cup of Nations and has never been named the best player in Africa despite his notable efforts. In 2011, Gyan joined Al Ain in the UAE Pro League on loan and became the league's top scorer, scoring 24 times in 27 matches. The following season, Gyan permanently joined Al Ain and once again became the league's top scorer, while he helped Al Ain to retain the UAE Pro League title, scoring 28 goals in 32 matches. In 2013-14 season, Gyan scored on 44 occasions in 40 matches with Al Ain. All these would not see him win the best player in Africa. Gyan is the all-time leading goal scorer for the Ghanaian national team with 51 goals. He represented Ghana at the 2006, 2010 and 2014 World Cups. Gyan also represented Ghana at the 2004 Summer Olympics and 7 African Cup of Nations finals in 2008, 2010, 2012, 2013, 2015, 2017 and 2019, helping them to finish in 3rd place in 2008 and runners-up in 2010 and 2015. Essien was an integral part of Chelsea that won the maiden Champions League crown in 2012. The former Ghanaian international was at a point in time Africa's most expensive player when he signed for Chelsea in 2005 for a fee of £24.4 million. Essien won 1 Champions League title, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and 2 Premier League titles for Chelsea. He scored 17 goals for Chelsea in the Premier League. The former Chelsea midfielder played in the 2006 and the 2014 World Cups, 1 in Germany and 1 in Brazil respectively. Essien played for Ghana in 3 African Cup of Nations but never won the African Cup of Nations in his illustrious career. Mustapha Hadji is a former Moroccan player and was a great player during his playing days. He played in Europe for clubs like Deportivo La Coruña, Espanyol, Coventry City, Aston Villa, AS Nantes, Sporting Lisbon and many more. The former Moroccan international played in the 1998 and the 2000 African Cup of Nations and 2 World Cup finals, one in the USA in 1994 and the other one in France in 1998. Mustapha Hadji won the African Player of the Year award after the World Cup in France in 1998. Unfortunately, he is one of the great players who never won the African Cup of Nations. Asamoah Kuffour is a former Ghanaian rock-solid defender who played in the heart of defense in his playing days. Kuffour played for top European clubs across Europe and won important trophies. Kuffour represented Ajax Amsterdam, AS Roma and Bayern Munich in Germany, where he won the most prestigious club football trophy, the UEFA Champions League, in 2001. He also won 6 German league titles, 4 German Cup titles, 1 Intercontinental Cup, the 1991 Under-17 World Cup with Ghana, and many more. Kuffour played in the 2006 World Cup in Germany. He also played in the 1996, 1998, 2000 and the 2002 editions of the African Cup of Nations. But unfortunately, he never lifted the prestigious African Cup of Nations. Hadji Diouf is a former Senegalese player who played across Europe for clubs in France like Rennes, Sochaux and Lens. In 2002, Diouf joined Liverpool, where he won the League Cup in the 2002-2003 season. He also played for the likes of Bolton Wanderers, Blackburn Rovers and Sunderland. The Senegalese star moved to the Scottish League, where he won the Scottish Premier League and the League Cup with Rangers in 2010-11 season. He was also part of the Senegalese team that narrowly lost to Cameroon in the 2002 African Cup of Nations final and also played in the Korea-Japan 2002 World Cup tournament. Diouf is a 2-time African Player of the Year award winner but never won the African Cup of Nations. Nwankwo Kanu is a former Nigerian international forward and is one of Africa's most decorated players. Kanu established himself well in the game of football and in the process winning many accolades, especially at Arsenal. Kanu played for the likes of Ajax Amsterdam, winning the Champions League in 1995. He also won the UEFA Cup, the Premier League, the FA Cup, Olympic gold medal, and is a 2-time African Footballer of the Year winner. The former Arsenal man played in 3 World Cups and narrowly lost the African Cup of Nations final to Cameroon in 2000. Kanu won the Under-17 World Cup in Japan in 1993 with Nigeria. Despite having an illustrious career, he never won the African Cup of Nations trophy. Didier Drogba is generally seen as the greatest African player by some sections of football fans. He is a 2-time African Footballer of the Year winner, one in 2006 and the other in 2009. Didier Drogba won the UEFA Champions League title, the Europa League trophy, the FA Cup, the Premier League, all with Chelsea. As a former captain of the Ivorian national team, he played in 3 World Cups in 2006, 2010 and 2014. Didier Drogba is also regarded as one of Chelsea's greatest strikers ever. The former Ivorian captain played in several African Cup of Nations and lost the 2 finals he featured. Ivory Coast lost to Egypt in 2006 and to Zambia in 2012. Weah stands as the only African player to have won the prestigious Ballon d'Or in 1995. In the same year, he was crowned as the European Footballer of the Year and the FIFA World Player of the Year. Along with 2 Serie A titles with AC Milan, the Liberian also won the FA Cup with Chelsea and the Ligue 1 title with Paris Saint-Germain. He is a 2-time African Player of the Year and was recognized by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics as the greatest African player of the 20th century. He helped Liberia to reach the African Cup of Nations on 2 attempts, but it was always going to be beyond him to drag them to the continental title. That's all for 10 great African players that never won the African Cup of Nations. If there are any players that you think we should have included on the list, please feel free to let us know in the comment section below. Till next time, it's goodbye.